Namaskara and welcome to our next session on the yogic life. So today I wanted to talk about how to cross this samsara sagara. How can we cross this ocean of bhava sagara? Right. So in this context, I want to tell one shloka. Daivihi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapatyante mayam etam tarantite. This shloka is critically important. This shloka is from the Bhagavad Gita. This shloka is very, very important because if you see that uh, Paramapurusha is actually saying, Daivi hi yesham gunamayi mama maya. So, Paramapurusha is saying that this maya, this Prakriti is my maya. She is my maya. That means she is under Paramapurusha's control. Maya is under Paramapurusha's control. Shaktihi sa Shivasya Shaktihi. Shakti, Shiva and Shakti, two principles. Shiva and Shakti. Shakti is Shivasya Shakti. So she is Shiva's Shakti. So Maya is Paramapurusha's Dasi. She is under his control. Right? So therefore a sadhaka should not be afraid of Maya. If a sadhaka has deep love for Paramapurusha, then there is no need to be afraid of Maya. Right? So Maya is Paramapurusha's Shakti. So those who have this love for Paramatma, they don't need to be afraid of Maya. Right? So this ownership of this Maya lies with cosmic consciousness. That Paramapurusha, cosmic consciousness, Chaitanyam, is the owner of Maya. And so this Maya will function within the powers that are given to her by Chaitanyam or Paramapurusha. So she cannot go beyond the jurisdiction. So it's a very fixed rule, right? So what happens is that when you follow the laws of Prakriti and you go according to her design, right? In the Pratisanchardhara, you have to go forward. So you go according to her design, which is what we are talking in our current pravachan, is we have to work towards expanding our consciousness by doing sadhana and not go against the laws of Prakriti. So when one is working like that, right, when one is not going against the laws of Prakriti, when one is doing good deeds, right, then they are actually moving towards Paramapurusha, right? So Maya helps, the Vidya Maya helps the sadhaka to go closer to Paramapurusha. But when one is working against the principles of Maya, against the laws of Maya, then what happens? One goes far away from, they drift from being a spiritual aspirant and they go far away from the nucleus, they go far away from the Purushottama. And that Maya is Avidya Maya. It is the same Maya. She has two names, she's wearing two hats, she has two roles. It's not like two different Maya, it's the same Maya. Just like Paramapurusha, we have Nirguna and Saguna. With that Maya is also, there are two Mayas, Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. Vidya Maya helps us to go closer to Paramapurusha. Avidya Maya drifts us away from the nucleus, from Paramapurusha. Okay? So people are generally afraid, the sadhakas, they're afraid of this Maya. Because why we are afraid of this Maya? She's Daivi, she's divine Maya. Right? This Daivi hi esha gunamayi mama Maya. She's a divine Maya, she's full of gunas. Like she's Trigunatmika, she has three gunas. Right? But what is the key thing is that she's Mama Maya. She's Mama Maya. So if you take the help of Paramapurusha, then Maya cannot do anything. You can cross this Maya. So what happens is that, when sometimes when you're entering into this yogic life and when you're trying to understand all of this, so sometimes this doubt arises in our mind that, this world is so attractive and it's always disturbing me and this and that is bothering me. I want to be dedicated to Paramapurusha, but this world is not leaving me alone, right? So how do I how do I get rid of all that, and how do I make my focus towards Paramapurusha? Like something or the other is diverting my mind, and then a doubt arises: is it even possible to be fully dedicated to Paramapurusha? How is it possible to be fully dedicated to Paramapurusha? These kind of questions always arise, right, initially in your mind. So the answer to that question is actually right over here. It's a very, very important answer. Is that yes, it's true that this Maya is very, very difficult to cross. She will just be pulling you down and this way and that way, right, because of her gunas. But what we need to remember is that we need to develop this love for Paramapurusha. We need to develop this complete Sharanagati, right? Samarpan Bhav. When you have that Samarpan Bhav towards Paramapurusha, then Maya cannot do anything. Until you get that complete surrender, Maya will be able to do everything. Right? She will be able to control you. But the moment you have this complete Saranagati to Paramapurusha, with a deep love, you surrender to Paramapurusha, he'll take care. Then there is nothing to worry. So that means, see, it's we have a choice whether we want to be, when we are focused on the material world, which is again Maya, then we are under the control of Maya. So she can do whatever she wants. So she can pull you down. But then the moment you shift your attention from the material world and you focus your mind on Paramapurusha, right? You divert all your vrittis towards Paramapurusha with deep love for Paramapurusha, right? That Samarpan Bhav, then Maya cannot do anything. Maya cannot do anything. So it is very difficult to cross Maya. She is known as insurmountable, Duratyaya, right? Devihi Esha Gunamaya Mama Maya, Duratyaya, very difficult to cross, cannot be crossed, right? So that is why a spiritual aspirant can be afraid of Maya, right? But this ownership of Maya lies with Paramapurusha, and the sadhaka is in deep love with Paramapurusha, right? So why should a sadhaka be afraid of Maya, right? They may be initially afraid of Maya, thinking, how can I do all of this, right? I'm getting diverted with this and that. How can I do all of this? But the thing is, you have to understand that this ownership of Maya is for Paramapurusha. So like, even in the Laukika example, we have to, we are going somewhere to a, some service electricity company, or somewhere you're going for some service, right? So you go and address some worker, and, they may not give you the answer you're looking for, right? They may not behave with you properly, or they may give you a rude response. But then when you go to one level above, you go to their manager and you tell them, then the manager will tell that person, that worker, why don't you go and do this job? Then the worker will just keep quiet and he'll do everything that is asked to be done. The same way, when you go to Paramapurusha, he is above Maya, and you request Paramapurusha for all the support and help, right, with deep love, completely surrender. When you surrender, you're not even asking anything, right? You're just only having love for Paramapurusha, and he'll take care. He knows what to do, right? The moment you have given up everything and you say, it's up to you to do what you have to, right? I'm not asking you anything, right? All I have is only love for you. Then what happens is that Maya cannot do anything. Maya is, when Paramapurusha takes control, when he takes control, right? Because whatever you're doing according to Paramapurusha's desire, because you don't have your individual desires. When you have that complete Samarpan Bhav, then a sadhaka need not be afraid of Maya. He loves Paramapurusha, and Paramapurusha controls Maya. So why should a sadhaka be afraid of Maya? Even though Maya is Duratyaya, but she is Paramapurusha's Maya, and therefore one can easily cross this Bhavasagara. One need not be afraid of crossing this Bhavasagara, even though it is difficult to cross this Bhavasagara. But even then, a sadhaka need not be afraid of Maya, even though she is Bhayankari. She is very, very fearful. She's very, very, one that is causing fear. Okay? But even then, when you have that love for Paramapurusha, there is no need to be afraid of Maya. So mameva ye prapatyante mayam etam tarantite. So a jada jnani, a person who is a jnani, right? So Jadagyani doesn't have love for Paramapurusha. He doesn't have a love for Paramapurusha. He is constantly reading. He's always reading. He's reading books. He's wanting to know more and more. Right? But he's not doing anything. He's not implementing anything. He only talks about, Shraddha. He only talks about everything he talks. But deep in his heart, it's very dry. Right? There is no love for Paramapurusha. There is no Bhakti Bhava. Right? So therefore, crossing this Bhavasagara cannot be done by Jnanis. It can only be done by Bhaktas. Right? So because the Jadagyani is only looking at external things, right? Extroversial manovritti is what, right? He's looking at the external things, and he's always analyzing different things, right? With that, you cannot cross this Bhavasagara, right? So Jadagyani means, what do you mean by Jadagyani? Jadagyani means people who are learned, right? So and what a bhakta means, a devotee, right? So who can cross this Bhavasagara? Can a jnani, a Jadagyani cross, or can a bhakta cross? So only a bhakta can cross this samsara sagara, not a Jadagyani. So there is an example for this. Suppose there is a big mango tree, right? There's a big mango tree. So like a bhakta and a Jadagyani, both of them went near that mango tree, right? And so when they go to that mango tree, what will this learned man do? He'll start counting, right? He'll start counting the number of trees. He'll start counting the number of leaves. There are how many fruits, which fruit is good, which fruit is color is yellow, which fruit is different color. He will be analyzing, and he will be deciding on so many things. He'll be thinking and thinking. But what will a bhakta do? Right? He will just go there, he will look at the mango, and he will just pluck it and start eating it and start enjoying the sweetness of the mango. Right? So the bhakta has fully enjoyed the mango. What did the Jadagyani do? He lost his entire life. He was just analyzing, he lost his life. But bhakta, he got immersed in the love of Paramapurusha. With deep love for Paramapurusha, he did everything for Paramapurusha, and he enjoyed the bliss. He enjoyed the ananda. Right? He became the Satchidananda. He himself became the Satchidananda. He realized that what his Swarupa is. Right? But Jadagyani, he did not do anything. He lost his entire life because he was always reading, analyzing. Right? He was only talking. He was not walking the talk. He was just talking and talking and talking different things. Right? So that so it is said that those so many scriptures are creations of this intellectual extravaganza. Right? So many so-called scriptures are there, right? There are so many so-called scriptures which says this and that, right? So there's all intellectual extravaganza. So if you churn those so many scriptures and so many books of knowledge, after churning all those, what will you get? You will get cream and buttermilk, right? But that buttermilk is useless, is worthless. Cream is the main thing. Now the bhaktas, the devotees, will enjoy the cream, right? They enjoy the cream, and those scholars will quarrel over the buttermilk, right? When they come to the decision that they should accept the buttermilk, by the time it will become unfit for use, right? So mayam ye prapadyante te eva taranti. Mayam ye prapadyante te taranti. Te mayam taranti. So they are the ones, right? Mayam shamatam mameva ye prapadyante. I said differently, sorry. Mameva ye prapadyante mayam ye tam tarantite. So mameva, who is this mam? Mam is actually Paramapurusha. Prapadyante, prapattihi means sharanagatihi. Whatever your desire is my desire. In this universe, nothing moves without your desire. Even a blade of grass doesn't move without your desire. So everything is happening according to Paramapurusha's design. Nothing will move. Even if you desire, let this grass move, it's not going to move. It is going to move only according to his desire. So he, under his control, even Maya is there. So when you have this prapatti bhava, right, when you have the prapatti bhava, then it's easy to cross this bhavasagara, right? So the a person who is intelligent, what will he do? Buddhiman, what will he do? He will go take sharanagati of Paramapurusha. He will go into his ashraya. When he goes into his ashraya, then crossing this bhavasagara is very, very easy, right? So how is this Paramapurusha? Paramapurusha, he is just like a ship, right? He's like a ship. He will take you to the other side of this bhavasagara. You don't need to do anything. You wouldn't need to know how to swim. He will do the duty. You just take the shelter in that cosmic ship, right? So what we are saying over here is that we have to become a bhakta and not a jnani, right? It is actually dangerous to be a jnani, right? We have to be a bhakta. So when we be a bhakta, so we have talked about the different kinds of bhakti, right? Tamasiki bhakti, rajasiki bhakti, satviki bhakti. We have talked about all of the bhakti. So of all the bhakti, right, and also the raganuga bhakti, ragatmika bhakti, right? The 5 kinds of bhakti we have talked, right? So the ultimate bhakti is ragatmika bhakti, where you're not asking anything from Paramapurusha. We are not even asking for bliss, right? I'm doing bhakti of Paramapurusha just for bliss. It's not for bliss also. I'm not asking for bliss. I'm not asking for anything. What I want to do is I want to just please Paramapurusha. I'm not asking for any material gain. I'm not asking for any material prosperity. I'm not asking for anything, not even bliss. By doing bhakti of Paramapurusha, whatever bliss that I get, I'm not asking for that also. All I want is to please that supreme entity. I want to impress that entity, right? That is what I want to do. So whatever he wants, I will do that, right? So when you have that kind of bhava, then crossing this bhavasagara is rather easy. It's not difficult, it's easy. So only people who think that they can do everything, when you have this umbrella of ahankara and you think that what is happening, I can do it, I will do it, right? This is all happening because of me, right? When you have this ahankara. So when we are saying, it is important to understand that when we are saying we should not have ahankara, that does not mean we should not do prayatna. There is a task, we have to do prayatna and we have to do what we have to do, but it is not with ahankara. It is with samarpan bhav. We are doing as a seva to Paramapurusha. Whatever we are doing as a seva to Paramapurusha. So he will take care of the result, right? We put our efforts and he will take care of the result, and we are doing everything as a seva. So it is very important. There are 2 aspects. One is atma moksha and the second one is seva. Both of them go hand in hand. For atma moksha we do sadhana, right? When you do sadhana, we are expanding our consciousness, right? We're expanding our consciousness, and by doing seva, what happens is you're again expanding your mind. You're expanding your mind. You're helping the mind to get rid of the malas. You're helping the mind to get rid of the shadripus and ashta pashas that we have been talking about, right? So the 2 things that we have to do in our life, if somebody asks what are the 2 things that we have to do in our life, 2 important things that we have to do in our life, one is atma moksha, is to do sadhana to expand your consciousness. Second is jagat hit. There are 2 things you have to do, right? When you're doing sadhana and you're doing jagat hit, both you're having the samarpan bhav, right? You're completely surrendering to Paramapurusha. So the bhakti, right? So 3 things, if you have to remember 3 things, the 3 things that you have to always remember is doing sadhana regularly and doing seva. And when you're doing both, have the samarpan bhav. Have the samarpan bhav. It's not that I am the karta, I am the bhokta. It is not that with that attitude we are doing. We are doing it with complete sharanagati. So that is with love for Paramapurusha. Just like how a mother is doing something for the child, she does it with lot of love and care. Like that, whatever we do when we are doing seva for the children of Paramapurusha, we do it with lot of love and care, right? So when we do that, then automatically the speed towards subtlety is rather, it just increases manifold, right? Without your knowledge, it increases manifold. So these three things we have to remember. One is the bhakti bhava, the other is sadhana, and the other one is seva. Right? With that, I want to move on to the pravachan that we are talking about. So the pravachan that we are talking about is how should human beings live in this world, right? And this is very much related to the topic that I just covered, right? How to cross this bhavasagara. This is very related to that topic, right? So we said that human beings, we have this capability, right? We have an advanced mind, we have an advanced intellect, we have the capability to distinguish between what is good and bad, right? So in the Pratisanchar Dhara, we are the most evolved beings. We have a fully developed mind, and we have the Swatantra Ichcha, right? Even though we have evolved from animals and we have the Pashu Dharma, but also we have the Manava Dharma. So we have a choice whether we want to choose the Manava Dharma and move forward, or we want to choose the Pashu Dharma and move backwards. So that choice we have, right? And both Prakriti and Purusha, their design is in such a way that they help human beings to move forward, right? That is how their design is. But when we don't follow those rules, right, when we don't work towards expanding the consciousness, and when we break the rules of Prakriti, then Prakriti punishes us and through samskaras, and we have to go backwards, right? We degenerate, and we might go back to 6 o'clock, and then again we have to come, struggle and come forward, right? So that is a method of Prakriti's way of punishing us, right? So when Prakriti punishes us, then our movement towards us, subtlety is halted, right? It's paused for that time, right? So what do we do to increase the reflection of consciousness and to move forward is we have to do sadhana to increase the reflection of consciousness and also follow the rules of Prakriti. When we do that, how do we do that? We do that with good deeds, with Vidya Maya. That Vidya Maya is Vairagya and Viveka. Vairagya means it's not going and sitting in some mountains, right, and being away from the world. It is living in the world but understanding the proper use of things, not getting colored by the objects of the world, right? Being colored by Paramapurusha but not getting colored by the objects of the world. You live in the world but you're not constantly attracted by crude things. You're developing an indifference towards the crude things. By doing that, your mind becomes subtle, right? And Viveka is discriminating between good and evil is Viveka. Like for instance, if there's alcohol, using alcohol as an intoxicant is an evil thing, and using alcohol as a medicine is a good thing. So that is Viveka, knowing what is good and what is bad, right? So you have to use both Viveka and Vairagya. Those are alone good deeds, and they will help you move forward. On the other hand, Avidya Maya or evil deeds will actually pull you down, right? Those evil deeds which dim your reflection of consciousness and make you go against the laws of Prakriti are evil deeds. They drag you downwards. These evil deeds are the Shadripus and Ashtapasha, right? Shadripu, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. And then Ashtapashas, Bhaya, Lajja, Grana, Sanka, Kula, Shila, Mana, Jigupsa, right? These are all the Ashtapashas and Shadripavaha. So they actually pull you down. They stop your progress towards subtlety, right? So those who follow Vidya Maya move forward. Those who follow Avidya Maya move backwards. They move towards crudity. Those who follow Vidya Maya, they move towards subtlety, right? So those who follow this Vidya Maya, they can be put into 4 categories. The first category are the sadhakas who follow the laws of Prakriti and also who make effort to expand their consciousness by doing sadhana. They are the good people, best people. Second category of people are those who follow the laws of Prakriti but do not do sadhana for expanding their consciousness. Third category of people are those who do not follow the laws of Prakriti nor they do any sadhana. Fourth category of people are those who do not follow the laws of Prakriti and also do such kind of actions that degenerate their consciousness, right? So those, the category 3 and 4 are actually lower than the beast, right? Category 1, they are the best people, they move forward, they attain Paramapurusha, right? The category 2, who do not follow the laws of Prakriti, right? They are equivalent to animals. They are animals because they just, they're not doing sadhana, right? So they're just doing the pashu vyavahara. They're no different than the animals, right? So the third and fourth, they are worse than animals. They're actually beasts in the form of human beings. So that is what we actually saw till last class. Now we'll actually continue from the following paragraph. So I haven't logged in. Okay. What is it, Bhagini?
No. You well said, I said. Nicely explained.
Okay, Bhagini. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Bhagini.
Yeah. Kindly read. In the preceding chapter.
In the preceding chapter, it was shown that reactions of actions, that is karma pala, have to be experienced. No one is spared from experiencing them. The reactions of all one's actions will have to be borne oneself alone. There are many who, with the intention of escaping this suffering of reaction, karma pala, try various methods. To what extent their attempts and methods are based on reasoning and logic, and whether they can succeed in escaping the experience of reactions, karma pala, is discussed below. So we have seen that the reaction of our actions, that is the karma pala, have to be experienced by the person who takes the manava janma. Nobody is spared from experiencing those karma palas. Whatever they try to do, whatever methods they try to follow, not sure how far it is going to help us, but we have to experience the reactions, that is the actions, what punishments we have to get, we have to experience all those things. That is, we have to experience the reactions, the karma pala, what we have already acquired actually because of our actions. So the next, this one explains what is discussed, what is, whether they can succeed in escaping. When they try, whether they succeed, whether they can succeed is explained below. That will, shall I read the next one, or you tell me?
Yeah. 1 second. Yeah, nicely said, Bhagini. Yes. So yeah, that is the idea over here. So actually, this is actually a huge subject, right? That that we know that for every action there is a reaction, right? So every action has an equal and opposite reaction. There is no exception, right? So but what happens is, right, people try to do different things. They show their hand, or they they have this, they go to somebody to have read the position of the stars and do all kinds of things to find out what is going to happen, and then they do all kinds of things to try to change that, right? So there are like huge efforts that people do in this regard, right? So the question is, would those efforts, is it correct to engage in those efforts, and what happens? Are we able to change, prevent from experiencing the karma pala, right? So that is what will be discussed in the following paragraph. Okay, go ahead, take the next one.
Many believe that by neutralizing the influence of the stars, grahas, graha shanti, and by rituals of offering sacrifices in repentance, prayaschitta, they will be able to escape the consequences of their actions. This belief is not correct, because according to the rule of Prakriti, every action has to be followed by its reaction. The mind has to regain its normality through reactions. This is the law of Prakriti, and no one can set it aside. There is however the possibility of accelerating or slowing the speed of the reactions, which will bring the mind back to normality. For instance, the reactions which would take 1 month to bring the mind back to normality may, with the help of tantra, be completed in a day or a year by accelerating or slowing the speed of the reactions. But it will never be possible to eliminate them altogether. One may borrow 100 rupees on the condition that the same will be returned within a month. It may be possible to persuade the creditor to waive the condition of payment and increase the period to a year or even to 2 years. The period of the return of the money can be extended, but the returns of the money can not be escaped. Similarly, a person having 150 rupees credit in their account with the condition that they will spend all the money in a month at the rate of 5 rupees a day may spend all the 150 rupees in 1 day, or may follow the original condition and take 1 month to spend the money. The money will only be used by the depositor, whether they do it in a month or whether they do it in a day or a month. So this paragraph emphasizes that whatever they try to do, the tantra or prayaschitta, that is, they go find about their stars and do some prayaschitta, this is not going to be helpful to them. Only thing is, it will helpful to them in accelerating or accelerating their the pain of the karmas, and to come back to the normality. It might take immediate time, or it will take its own original time. So if there is no evidence or there is no response that doing some prayaschitta, by knowing our stars and knowing our this one, we can escape the punishments given by Prakriti for the actions we have done. So the karma pala remains. For example, a person who has borrowed 100 rupees, he has to return it with interest or without interest. Probably the interest can be waived on speaking to the borrower but he has to pay it. The returning of the money might take within 1 day or within 1 month or 1 year. Same person, a person having 150 rupees in his deposit, can spend the money within 1 day or 1 month or 1 year, but it has to be done by the depositor only. So in any way, the reactions for the actions performed has to be borne by the person himself, and it might take some time, or it can be it can bring a little peace of mind. That's by the prayaschitta, by doing the prayaschitta, but it can never be fully eradicated from the person. Bhagini? Bhagini?
Sorry, Bhagni, my line got disconnected.
Bhagini?
Sorry, my line got disconnected. You finished saying that thing?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you were towards the end, right? Can you just repeat what you said in the last 3-4 minutes? Can you summarize? Bhagini?
Yes. I think
Yeah,
it got disconnected, so I went out or it came actually.
Oh, you also went out, is it?
I
Okay.
didn't listen to your voice at all, no, so I went out and came just now.
Okay. Please, can you kindly repeat?
That's what. That is the person who has performed the actions and he has to face the karma pala, cannot fully eradicate it by doing tantra, by going to the and getting to know his stars and then do any prashchita. It can be a little slow down. His mind, the calmness of his mind can return, and he can slowly, he has to bear with the karma pala, and he has to do the actions, the punishment given by the actions, he has to be borne by him. For example, if he borrows 100 rupees from a borrower, he can, from a money lender or a borrower, he can return it with evading the interest, or he has to pay it, but he can return it within a day or within a month or within a year. And the only thing is he can evade the interest, but he has to only payment has to be done by him. Similarly, if he has some deposit in his bank or with him, say for example 150 rupees, that 150 rupees can be spent for over 2 months, or within a month, or within a day, or within 6 months also. He can just see it daily, but it can be spent by him within a limited time, or we can extend it, that's all. So the actions, the reactions, the karma pala has to be borne by the person himself who has performed the actions, whether he has done a good one or whether he has got a punishment by Prakriti. That's what this paragraph says.
Yes, Bhagini, nicely said. It's a very important thing that we have to understand, that by just using tantras, people believe that they can completely avoid the karma pala, right? But it is not like that, right? So for every action that we do, there is an equal and opposite reaction, and that reaction will have to be experienced, whether it is today or tomorrow or next day, but no one can escape, right? And that is how this universe has been made, right? So ultimately this world is a classroom, that Paramapurusha has created this world as a classroom, and Paramapurusha desires everybody's welfare, right? So even if people get cancer, or people get tuberculosis, or whatever they get, it's ultimately it is only a lesson for them, so that they can progress forward. So right, for whatever karma that they have done, right, they're getting the pala, and that has to be experienced in that life, and that is the way for you to move forward, right? Even if you are trying to avoid that karma pala by doing this and that, but you cannot completely avoid the karma pala. Only you can increase or decrease the speed with which you can experience that, right? So that is what is being said using that example, right? So it's not like, by having to go through the karma pala, it is not like it is an injustice that is done to you. So it's the way in which the prakriti and purusha manage this universe, right? So, and nobody can escape that. It's not injustice, it is just a payback of what was done, right? Like, for instance, if somebody took a loan, that has to be repaid back, right? So the tantra doesn't actually avoid completely the karma pala. It just adjusts the speed with which one experiences the karma pala. Okay, but we will go to the next one.
The mode of experiencing the reaction can be changed with the help of tantric practices, like the two examples cited above. But the experience of the reaction or fate cannot be evaded. Karma pala, consequences or reactions of one action, will have to be experienced by a person, and at best, only the intensity of suffering at a time can be reduced or increased by slowing or accelerating the speed of reactions. It is possible that the condition of returning 100 rupees in one installment may be too hard for the debtor, and he or she may have to suffer great mental agony. But if the same amount is returned in several small installments, the debtor may not feel it at all. The period of suffering is thus increased with the help of tantric practices, with the result that one does not feel the intensity of suffering and wrongly concludes that the experience of reactions has been evaded. Karma pala has been evaded or stopped because of graha shanti, that is, by neutralizing the influence of stars. For example, if on reading the future of a person, it is found that he or she has to bear the mental suffering of fracture of an arm, it may be possible to stop the fracturing of the arm with the help of graha shanti. But the quantum of mental suffering cannot be changed or done away with. The suffering could be spread over a longer time due to a number of minor incidents. For instance, the person's hand might get scratched, and later on he or she might fall sick. The person who goes suffering in installments, still the quantum of his or her suffering equal the mental suffering he or she was destined to get from the fracture of the arm. To revert to the early example, it would mean the debtor of 100 rupees would have to keep on repaying his or her debt in small installments of a rupee or so until they had paid off the full 100. Here the payment of the debt of 100 rupees represents mental suffering from fracture of the arm, which was supposed to be completed in one installment. But through flattery and persuasion of the creditors, by neutralizing the factor of the stars, graha shanti, it is being paid back in small installments. Hence, as the return of the 100 rupees is not complete, the payment will have to continue. So this sort of says that whatever methods we use to neutralize or the reactions by doing some tantra or by consulting our stars to know whether this will be done, the suffering which was meant to be done which was meant to be experienced for 1 year or for 1 month or for 1 year or for 2 years has to be experienced. It will be experienced either within that time slowly or in a large investment. So for example, if you are going to get a fracture, suppose, of your arm, and the fracture suffering is to be done for 6 months or something like that, that suffering we can evade probably by doing some
I can't hear you, Bhagini, in between.
Pardon?
I could not hear you
Sorry.
in between.
Okay, some shantis, by doing some shantis and trying to escape, but ultimately you will have to have some fracture. Or see, for example, if you're going to spend 6 months sitting and thinking, oh my god, I'm sitting like this without able to do my work, or with the fractured arm, we will have what mental agony we have. If you have a small fracture, you will have a small scratch, or some other way your money will be going off, and the mental agony for facing that money going off will be equal to that 6 months of the time the hand would have been fractured, and you would have suffered some mental agony. Similarly, see, now you are spending, you have borrowed 100 rupees and you are going to return it. Actually you have to pay some interest of 50 rupees or something like that for that. So 150 rupees you have to give to the money lender. But instead, if you are going to give it in installments, for giving that installments, actually what you would have spent, and you would have spent it for giving it somewhere else, so that I should not borrow, or I should not have that, I should have the peace of mind of giving it in installments. It is similar as what you do for EMIs actually. So that you have to do it, you are borrowing, and you have to spend that amount of money by either giving it to the for the tantric, or to someone. For example, we can also say the example of, oh, I should not get this sort of a problem. We go and we also pacify God by putting it in the undial also. I think this is also similar example for that. So for that we have to, but at least God will keep us in mind, so that way we can, but the actions, the reactions should be experienced by the person who has to get it in the prescribed time. It cannot be escaped or evaded. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes, Bhagini, nicely said. That is exactly the idea over here, right? Yeah. So this paragraph is just extending on the earlier paragraph, right? So any action you perform, you have to experience the karma pala, right? And you cannot avoid the karma pala by doing this and that, right? So your mind is like a rubber ball, and if there is a depression, it needs to take the original shape back, right? So it needs to come back to its original shape, and that is how the mind is designed. So any action we take, there is a depression, and then to gain back to its original shape, right? So that is happening through the karma pala. So trying to avoid the karma pala by using tantric practices, or doing, puja or graha shanti, shanti of the planets and stars, or going to an astrology, or doing rituals, right? Sacrificing something, goat and sheep or whatever, right? Just to avoid karma pala. So this is all wrong belief that by doing that you can completely avoid the karma pala, right? The karma pala cannot be completely avoided, right? That has to be experienced. All we can actually do is, we can increase or decrease the speed with which we experience that karma pala, right? So maybe you will experience the karma pala in smaller installments by doing that graha shanti, but ultimately you will experience the same karma pala that you're supposed to experience, and you cannot avoid that by doing any of the tantric practices. So that is what we need to understand, right? We can actually postpone them by a few days, right, or a few months or a few years, but you cannot completely avoid it, right? The suffering that you have to go through, you will go through it, right? A person who has done the karma has to suffer. We cannot avoid that suffering. The only thing that we can do is increase or decrease the speed of the reaction right? So when you go to that example of borrowing 100 rupees from a creditor, that 100 rupees has to be returned, right? If it has to be returned in it can be returned in one shot, or it can be returned in one installment, or you can return it in several installments, right? So by returning it in several installments, maybe you feel that it is easier that you're returning in several installments. If I returned in one installment, it's difficult. But even then, ultimately you have to return that entire 100 rupees, right? Like that, this karma pala you have to experience no matter what, whether it is in smaller installments or in one shot. You have to experience it, and nobody can avoid it. Just like how you have to return the 100 rupees no matter what, right? Same thing, by doing the graha shanti and rituals and all that, you can spread that suffering over a period of time, right? I don't have to go through the suffering at all at one shot, right? But people think that by going through all this, that they can completely avoid the karma pala. So that is not the case. You will have to experience the karma pala. Whatever karma pala you have to experience, and that cannot be stopped or prevented by doing graha shanti, or by doing homa, or by doing anything else, or even like you were saying, putting money in some temple and all that. So you cannot avoid the karma pala. It's not possible. This is a niyama of prakriti, right? This is a design of prakriti and purusha. This is how the world has been designed. This is how the karma pala system works. Nobody can escape it. And whatever karma one person has done, they only have to experience the karma pala, right? You can't push it to somebody else and saying that what karma pala the son has incurred has to experience, that the father can experience or mother can experience. No, what karma the son has done, the son only has to experience. He cannot do anything. Mother and father cannot do anything, right? So that is how it is. So we'll actually take one more paragraph for me. Want to take this one?
Okay, we'll finish with this paragraph. Okay. Just as it is possible to increase the period of experiencing the reactions with the help of graha shanti, it is also possible to decrease this period. For instance, some persons wear different stones such as blue sapphires, which change the mode of their experience, their reactions. It is possible that by this one may get a fortune by winning a prize in a lottery, or may get a promotion in one's employment. This makes people believe that all this has happened due to graha shanti, but it is actually not so. Fate, or the quantum of experiencing the consequence of one actions, can neither be changed nor evaded. It was explained earlier that one's actions that gives happiness to others will beget happiness to oneself to the same extent in mental measure. This quantum of experiencing happiness and pleasure cannot be changed. Only the time required for experiencing it can be increased or decreased. Taking again the example of the deposit of 150 rupees, we see that the money intended to be spent in a month at the rate of 5 rupees a day can be spent in one day by shortening the period of expenditure and leaving something for the remaining 29 days of the month. The change in fate brought about by graha shanti is similar to this. For instance, the 1000 rupees that one gets as a prize in a lottery due to the influence of the blue sapphire is a person's own money, scheduled to be received by him or her in small installments over a long period of time. This money is received in one installment, leaving no balance for the rest of the installments. Yet, getting a huge amount at once makes one believe that graha shanti, or the wearing of a blue sapphire, has changed one's fate. So the paragraph explains what was said in the early paragraphs with some other examples, by telling that the reactions of our actions, that is the karma pala, cannot be changed or evaded. It can be slowed down, or it can be done. It can be done immediately. For example, now, if by doing Griha Shanti, and if a person wears a blue sapphire or some stone to his luck, he happens to get a prize money, it will be some this one which he should have got it long back, and at that time only he has got it. So his karma phala of doing a good deed and getting this one would have done only got it then, and then he will believe that it is because of the blue sapphire. But that is not so. So for example, now you are having 150 rupees for a month, and you intend spending it for 5 rupees, 5 rupees for a day for the entire month. Instead, you happen to spend it 150 rupees the same day, and you think what to do. You just leave it. What to do for the rest of the days for that day? You might get that money because of that wearing that blue sapphire. Okay, I have done something, I got the money. But that you would have got for an good deed done by long back, and that you are destined to get it only then. So that helped you with that, and with that for the rest of the month. So your actions, your karma phala, whatever you have spent or whatever you have got, is only due to the actions, that the bad actions or the good actions which you have done previously, and it is nothing to do with the graha shantis or the tantric or the astrologers saying or the stones which we wear. That is what is said in this paragraph.
Yeah, nicely said, Bhagini. That is the idea. I think it is very clear, right? So essentially the conclusion is, we cannot do this and that to trick Prakriti or Paramapurusha, right? So what has to happen will happen. If you have done a karma, right, you have to experience the karma phala. You cannot evade it completely, but you can increase or decrease the speed, right? And so by doing, by wearing a gemstone or something, if you get a promotion or you win a lottery, people think that it is all happening because of this, right? So it can just be a coincidence also. So essentially we cannot change the fate. Nobody can change the fate. So essentially, instead of wasting our time in all of this, one can divert their mind and attention to Paramapurusha. So then the sanskaras will get burnt automatically. Instead of trying to do all of this, right, you're trying to burn the karma phala one time by doing these graha shantis, which doesn't happen. On the other hand, if you become a sadhaka and you do sadhana, and you can actually burn the samskaras permanently and not create any future samskaras. So that is what we want, right? We want to go to that state where we are not creating new samskaras, and also burn all the existing samskaras and get to that dagda bij avastha, right, where all your samskaras are burned. We want to get to that stage, right? So wasting our time and money on all of this is useless, right? So essentially that is what this paragraph nicely addresses, the common beliefs that is there in the society. At least in India this is very, very common, right? Wearing different colors gemstone is so popular in India that people waste money and time, and a lot of people exploit the other people, right, by selling all these fake stones.
That is the first thing. Exploitation has become the core now.
Yeah, just because people are afraid of the karma phalas, they just shell money left, right and center just to get some stones, right, without even understanding all of this, right? So that is what this paragraph is talking about. So any questions, Bhagini?
No, Bhagini.
Okay.
So then following it like that.
Yeah. Okay, Bhagini. Very nicely said. So just 1 second after the class, hang on. I will just conclude the session over here. Dhanyavadaha, Namaskaraha.
Dhanyavadaha.
Bhagini.